Hey, this is for my Interactive Art 1 creative coding class. Everyone has watched these tutorial videos on working with chops. Chops are channel operators. It's basically how we deal with streams of numbers, data that could be coming from just a random noise source or a low frequency oscillator, or maybe waving your hands in front of a webcam or dancing in front of a Connect, touching things on your phone or shaking it. All of those things become just channels in TouchDesigner. So this is super important. Anything you do with TouchDesigner to make something interactive is going to have to involve chops. So it's worth trying to get a hang of this. So I gave you this technical exercise to try and make that happen. Make a being on the screen. You could do it however you want, just whatever it looks like, whatever you want it to look like, but taking this step by step. So use LFOs to create both a heartbeat and breathing for the being. So honestly, I would do each of those separately. Let's try and do that. So the first thing is to make a heartbeat. It could be a circle or a rectangle or whatever, but I just downloaded an image and you can just drag and drop that onto TouchDesigner. Look at that. And then if I want to just make that show up, I should be able to, like forgetting about the fact that we need a breathing visualization. We're just going to make this show up on the screen. So could just send this to an out. And if I go to perform mode, you'll see it's stretched awfully. And I think what we can do is we can set its output resolution to parent panel size. That looks like it's still stretched. And I think what we probably want to do anyway is change its size. So I'm not going to stress out about this because I just want it to look heart-like. So I'm going to use transform and I'm going to scale it in the X direction so it looks like that, and then scale it down this way. That looks pretty good. So there's my heart, and if I do perform mode now, it looks okay. Still looks a little stretched. Let me do a little more. Yeah, that looks fine. Okay, because it's transparent PNG, I can actually put it on a background. So let me just do a movie in top and use one of their sample movies from nature. So like this one. Make that go to the out. Can't do that, right? To put two things on the screen, we have to use a composite. So let me insert an operator here and add a composite. I will drag this one over, and now they're backwards, but I should be able to, how do I switch them? Oh, I just double click and that switches them. This does not look like what we want. It's just showing the places where they overlap. That's kind of cool, but it's not what I'm looking to do. I can go to the composite and choose something like over instead. By the way, if you want to see what all the choices look like, you can click preview grid and then turn this on and you see what all of the different options look like. Pretty good. But we know over is going to work. So let's just do this. There it is. You can see it through the heart, which is pretty cool. And I think probably looks a little, whatever. It's fine. I mean, I could use a level to make it a little dimmer, but it's fine. So I've got, what have I got? Breathing. Oh, we didn't do the breathing, right? So breathing, I'm just going to do breathing. You can do this however you want. I'm going to use a level top and I'm going to make the breathing happen with just kind of like dimming the background. So I'll kind of do this, breathing. Okay, let's make the heartbeat first. So we know that probably an LFO is going to be involved because that looks like a heartbeat sine wave. This is very standard, right? We come up with this and then we're like, well, that actually doesn't look like the range we want. I don't like dealing with, noise is like negative 0.5 to 0.5. LFO is negative 1 to 1. Can we just get this to be like consistently like 0 to 1? Yeah, so I can change the offset to 0.5 and then it seems to go from 0 to 0.5 now. So I'm sorry, 1.5. So what I really want is offset of 0.5 and amplitude of 0.5. And that will give me a number that goes from 0 to 1, I think. 0 to 1, 0 to 1. There's my heartbeat. So I'll take that and I will make that go to a null because that's how we do it. There's a null. And I'm just going to drag this over to the heart, transform, and the scale. Now there's a problem because I already got 0.4 and 0.6 there. Let me just drop it anyway, see what happens. So it's back to being, first of all, the range isn't right. 0 to 1 isn't good. And it's also stretched. So let's see what we can do. There's two things here. One is we can add a math in here so that we will, let me get rid of this. Add a math in here so that it'll be in the right range. So math, instead of 0 to 1, we want the range to be like 0.05 to 0.2, 0.1, too small. 0.1 to 0.2 or bigger. 0.45 to 0.5. Very subtle beating of the heart. Now to fix this weird thing that's happening here with the stretching again. And that's because the numbers are the same, right? Like it's back to being a square. But what I could do, I think I had 0.4 here and 0.7 there. What I could do is just multiply this times 0.4. So I'm writing Python right in the field here. So that's closer to what I had before. I don't know, it doesn't look right, but that looks good. 0.5, 0.7. So let's see where we are here. Yeah, looks great. So hopefully you caught that. This basically is just saying, yes, this is the source, channel 1 from the null 1 operator. And I just said also multiply it times 0.5, multiply this one times 0.7, and now they're different. You can see they're not the same. Okay, we don't need a separate operator for that. We can just put it right in there. Let's see, we've got heartbeat working, and then we want to do the same thing down here. I would say we don't want it to be linked to the heartbeat. This is a totally separate thing. So let's add a totally separate LFO. This is, I'm going to do the same thing here. I want it to go from, nope, not offset. Hold on. Okay, so I don't remember what this was, right? I changed it. It doesn't like the number. You can right click and say reset parameter. So it's back to where it was. And amplitude and offset 0.5. I don't know what happened. So that looks right now. It's going from 0 to 1. Of course, it's way too fast, but I can change the frequency to be much slower. What do we need? 0.58 seems good. I will take this and send it to a null, and then use that to influence the level top brightness level. Okay, it's going to totally black, which I don't want. So again, we need a math in between to get the range right. So you can see this is the same thing that's happening. We did the same thing up here that we're doing down here. Hopefully that gives you a sense that this is a pretty common thing. Range, let's say I want this to go from like 0.5 to 1. Fine. Still a little fast, but whatever. 0.48. Okay. So we've got heartbeat. And you know, if I was really trying to be like clean about this, I could just highlight all of this and then click out here, right click out here and choose collapse selected. This now is the heart. If I open this up, you can see it added an out for me. That's the thing that comes out. I can navigate back to the main project. And if I want to see what's actually happening here, I can turn on the viewer. So there's the heart. I can rename this so it's not called base 1, it's called heart. And if I don't need to view it, I can turn that off and it'll actually make everything run faster. So I would say anywhere you don't need to see what's in there, you can just turn those off. This one also looks like it's working fine. So maybe I will just, am I screwing myself up? Yeah, I'm not going to do this for now. Maybe I'll do it later, but I don't want to make it more messy for you to see. So let's just keep it like this. Okay, so that's heart. This is breathing. Okay, what was next on the list? Breathing visible. Add a very slow noise source that will be the changing energy level. So I'm going to take Martin's advice and just make like a bar at the bottom. That's kind of like a energy bar. There it is. I'm going to add this to my comp. Of course, it's not great because it's added to the bottom, so that's not going to work. But maybe I could just short circuit this one over to there and then do the same for this one. Hard to do. Let me zoom in. Right there. Okay. That work? Yeah, it kind of worked. But of course, it's making this all look awful because we are, well, we can just change the resolution for all of these generators to be parent panel size, and that works. Okay, so let's say we want the size to be like 0.1, 0.05, 0.1. Let's say 0.1 vertical. And the horizontal size, we don't know what that's going to be. Right now, I'll just make it 0.5. But I do want this to be kind of like down on the bottom, so I can do justify vertical bottom. And I want it to be left, not centered. That looks a little tall. 0.06? Yeah, fine. Okay, and then I think also I'm going to turn the alpha down so that it's like kind of just barely visible. Now, this is supposed to be getting longer and shorter, basically visualizing the noise. So I will add a noise chop. And if I want to visualize this as a changing channel, just like these others, I can just turn on time slice. There we go. The noise, I think, normally goes from negative 0.5 to 0.5. That's what it's going to look like if I add a trail to this, but I know that already. So I'm just going to change the offset to 0.5 and the amplitude to 0.5. And I mean, we should be able to see this on a trail. Let's look. Of course, it often shifts vertically. So one way that we can stop that from happening is turn on viewer active, right click, and stop the vertical adapting. So if it, and it, you know, some things are off now, but I can change actually the vertical range. So I want to see like 0 to 1. So from 0, that like it sometimes goes down to 0, it seems like, and seems to go up towards 1. I think this is, let's try making it very fast. See if we can get, well, it sort of hovers around the middle. I think that's just the kind of noise this is. Some noise kind of goes more of a range, and you can see it even spikes a little bit off if I use harmonic summation. Let's use sparse, it's fine, or hermite. Okay, so we've got noise. Let me get rid of this guy. I think we've got it in the right range too. It goes from 0 to 1. Whether that's actually what we want, that would bring it down here all the way up to here. Let's say that's fine. And let's add a null as always. And then, whoa. That looks quite jittery. Okay, well, let's drag this over here and make that the X, or the width. Okay, it's very jittery. I think that's because I turned the period way down, right? So I want this very slow. So maybe like 5 seconds. And no? What happened? I broke it. I broke the noise. How have I broken it? Let's click on this target, and that'll show me things that I've changed. So that seems fine. This seems fine. Let's turn time slice off and back on. I don't know. Well, it's working. That was interesting. So let's go back over here, time slice on. I don't know. I just needed a jump start. So it is going up and down. That looks good. I'm okay if it goes all the way to the end and all the way back to 0. Seems like the noise kind of stays sort of toward the middle anyway. Great. I've got my energy level changing. What's the next thing? Make it visible. I did that too. Make the heartbeat change based on energy level. When the heart rate goes up, energy goes up, the heart rate goes up. Okay. So what I'm going to do, there are tons of ways to do this. I think probably what I might do is say the speed of this LFO, which is giving us our heartbeat, is going to change based on the noise. So we've got this noise over here, and actually it's already doing a 0 to 1 kind of thing. So, you know, I could just connect it right here, right? Like here's the null. Let me bring the null back over here. I could just connect this right to the frequency. It's not great because sometimes it will go down to nothing. Sometimes it will go up really high. It's going very slow. 0.5. I'd like it to go higher. Okay, there it goes. It's going a little fast. It's not a lot. So maybe the easiest thing to do is instead of adding a math in here or something, maybe I'll just say it's that, but times 4. So we can see it go slow when the energy level gets low, and I can see it go faster when it goes up. That looks good. Okay. So that works. Again, I'm just doing math right in here instead of adding another math chop just to multiply times 4. What's next? That seems like I'm done. Make the heartbeat stop for a couple seconds whenever there's a loud noise. What I'm going to do, I showed this in class, so I'm going to show a different thing. Like I want the heartbeat to go super fast when there's a loud noise. So when there's a loud noise, the heartbeat goes really fast for a couple seconds and then calms down. So first is we need a noise source, and I should be able to do audio device in, get the audio from my webcam. And we've looked at this before, but if we look at a trail chop, it shows it going negative and positive. It doesn't seem directly related to the volume. It seems like it's based more on the frequencies or something. So let me just use an analyze chop, and we should be able to, average kind of works, but if we do RMS power, that really seems like it's the volume. And I can just connect this here instead, and we'll see what that looks like. So seems like the volume, when the volume's low, it stays down. Again, we're in an adapting vertical range. So let's try changing this. So get rid of vertical adapt, and let's try a range of like 0 to 10. So 0 to 1, 0 to 1. Okay, so it's very low. If I make a loud noise like a clap, it goes up like right above 0.5. That seems like a loud noise. Let's go with that. So I'm just going to honestly get rid of this thing now that I've got a number I can work with. So what do I need? A trigger chop works great. So this is kind of like an if statement almost, because what I can do is say trigger if the number gets above this threshold, 0.5. So let's see what happens. So when I clap loud, it goes up. You can see there's a little bit of a stutter as it goes down, and that's just tweaking the ADSR envelope that gets created. So every time the channel goes above, the input goes above 0.5, it will trigger this ADSR envelope. Do we remember what that is? ADSR. Let's look at an image. There is an attack phase. So once it gets triggered, it goes through this attack phase. Then it goes through decay down to sustain, which it stays at until the trigger stops, and then it goes down release. So if we click the trigger button, we'll see that happen. Click, it goes up and then down, and then it's in the sustain mode because I'm holding the button down. So it's at 0.5. So let's look at sustain. It actually shows that the sustain level is 0.5. Maybe I want it to be 1 instead. So this way it'll go from 0 to 1 over the course of 0.2 seconds. Then it'll stay, well, then there's a decay, which is 0.2 seconds. It'll go down in theory to the sustain level, but since the sustain level is the same, we don't actually see that decay. And then when you let go, it takes 0.3 seconds to go back down to 0. So let's look at that again. Up, let go, goes down. Okay, so first of all, I could make this just go right to the heart. Alpha, we've done that before. Let me make this go to a null. This will make the heart disappear for a little bit of time when there's a loud noise. So I will make that go over here to no. That's not good. We would need a level top. We can do that just to see what it would look like. So add a level top right here. And we can just turn its brightness up or down from 0. Oh, that's actually, so that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't really work. Black level? I don't know. I don't want to mess around with this. So let's just connect it to something, right? So let's connect it to like the invert level. See what happens. So there's no inversion. If I clap the heart, that's awful looking, but you see what happens, right? It affects something in there. So we can do that. We could change the value so that it actually does something we want, or let me undo. Maybe changing the black level does something, or the brightness does something. Let's see. It's the opposite. Whatever. So we could change that. We can either change the way the trigger works, like change the values of the attack sustain, or we could also invert these numbers that come out. We could do math on them to change the range. We know how to do some of these things. So I'm just going to undo because that's not what we're trying to do anyway. What we're trying to do is what I said, which is make the heartbeat go much faster when there is a loud noise. So I mentioned a switch, right? So right now we have a heartbeat. This is like this sine wave that's coming out and going to the transform. We could use a switch to change the rate. So you have an incoming rate that looks like a certain way. We could have a second one that goes in that's much faster and use the switch to change between them. And that would work fine because it's switching between source number 0, which would be this one, and source number 1, which would be a much faster one. So when I do that, it goes to 1 and that would work. But I like my idea better, which is that it'll start beating really fast for a moment and then calm down. So the way I'm going to do that, and that would mean like if it was already beating fast, it's going to beat a lot faster, which feels better. It's going to look smoother. So I like this answer. So what can we do? Here we have a frequency that determines how. Wait a minute. Oh, the frequency is already changing based on this, right? So what we actually want is for the frequency to be multiplied by something by 10, let's say, if it becomes a 1. So let's do this. First of all, it's a 1, right? Let's get it to actually go to 10 because I want to have like I want to multiply this times 1 normally, which means it'll stay the same. And then I want to multiply it by 10 when it gets as fast as it's going to get. So what I can do here is first make this go to 10. So for sustain, we will, instead of going up to 1, we'll go to 10. And then the attack has to be the same. It has to go up to 10. So let's see. Now if I do this, it goes 0 to 10. That's not great because if I multiply this times 0, it's going to be stuck. It's going to be stopped completely. So I do need to like maybe just add 1 to it. So I'll use a math here, and I will say multi-add 1. So under normal circumstances, this is a 1, and then when I hit something, it goes to 11. Great. So that seems fine. I will take that number and I will use that to multiply times the speed of this LFO. Now, if I put it after this LFO, what I'm doing is I'm not multiplying the speed, I'm multiplying the size of this. So you will see the heart get bigger when, let's try it. I'll do that, right? So I could even do it here. There's already one here. We've got a range. Let's do a multiply, and let's multiply times this. Let's see what happens. So it's normally just multiplying by 1. And then if I hit, make a noise, it's all of a sudden multiplying it times, you can see up here, multiplying it times 11. I'm fine with 11. So yeah, this is interesting, but it's not what I said I was going to do. So let me go backward. So this I'm going to leave alone. The size we don't want to change. We want the speed to change, which right now is controlled by this. It's controlled by the bar down here. So what I could do is I don't want the energy level to change. So I'm not going to mess around down here. But what I do want is for this to change. There's a couple ways I could do this. I'll show you one that's just kind of like, because we haven't done it this way, kind of like a backdoor way, right? Like, first of all, let's now take advantage of the collapsing. I'm going to highlight these. I'm going to right click out here and say collapse selected. And this is, I don't know what I would call this, loud noise. Okay. So it works the same. It's just, and I can turn on the viewer if I want. So it shows it go from 1 to 11, but I don't have to look at all those extra nodes that I don't need to see. Okay, so let's see. What are we doing? We want this to change the frequency, which is already being changed. So there's 2 ways to do this. One is we could do a little bit of Python, which right now we have null3, the operator null3, channel 1 from null3, see the name right here, times 4 is what we normally have. But I think probably we want to multiply that times whatever the value of null4 is. So we could do it right here. We don't actually have to do it with nodes. Let's try it because we haven't done this before. So I want to say this is correct. So I'll put it in parentheses. Like this times 4 is actually a good heart rate. Changes with the energy level, looks good. Now I also want to multiply it times operator null4, which is the new one I just made. It's also called channel 1. And that I said I would want, no, that's it, right? This should work because this is a number between 1 and 10. So I'm saying whatever I had from the bar below, I want to multiply it times a number between 1 and 10. Great. Looks good. And honestly, I think probably making the heart bigger at the same time. Let me do both. So I'll go back over here to math and I'll say multiply here as well. This will make it bigger and faster. Not great, but yeah, works. Okay, so I said not great. You know, I could tweak right in here, like it goes from 1 to 11, and 11 is too big. So I don't know, I could say, well, multiply this times 0.4, 0.3, right? So it's less of an impact. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, right? Also, when I start putting in, if I, you know, I don't know if you noticed this, but when I typed in an operator null for, it made the line here. So it's not like the change I'm making is invisible unless I open this little field. It actually does when I start typing some Python and reference another operator. It does show the line that would show up if I dragged it over. So typing it in there is the same as dragging over from a null. Okay, I think this is all working. Let's faster. When it's, well, let's make sure. Yeah, the heart's slowing, and then it should get faster. Let's see if it goes faster from the bar on the bottom. Come on. I want to make sure I haven't broken anything. Seems like I could have. Okay, nope, it's going slower, right? And then it's going faster and goes much faster and bigger. Yeah, great. Okay, let me know if you have questions. Bye.